Hi everyone, welcome back to Journeying with Janay. I'm Janay. First, I want to thank you all for the amazing support on 2 weeks ago with our video Coping with Grief, and another very special thank you to Dr. Tracy Reed. If you did not watch episode 6 of Journeying with Janay, which was entitled Coping with Grief, please go and watch it. That episode helped me cope through my grief as we were doing it, and I know it's helped a lot of other people. So we didn't just talk about grief as in losing a person. Dr. Tracy redefined what grief actually is. We talked about ways of coping with it, and we didn't just, like I said, we redefined it. So we talked about grief of losing a person, losing a relationship, losing a job, grief during the pandemic, and even grief as it pertains to racial injustice. So it was an amazing episode, and I encourage you all to go and watch it if you have not done so yet on my YouTube channel. I also, before you watch this episode, I would encourage you to watch that one, because this episode is kind of a piggyback off of last week's episode. So with that being said, the title of today's episode is I Think I Need Therapy. And before some people might get a little scared or turned off by the title, but I ask that you watch the entire episode before you prejudge or anything like that, because all of us need an outlet. All of us need someone to vent to. So with everything going on in the climate, with the pandemic, with the social and civil unrest, and a lot of death that has been happening, I was thinking, where should I go with my next episode? And I came to the point of, I think I need therapy, because so many people right now or bogged down or depressed, have anxiety because of all that is going on, because of being locked down, being alone all the time. And so I felt that this episode is very necessary for the time that we live in. Today's Janay fact is that about a year and a half ago, I started therapy. If you've been watching me since episode 1, you already know that I'm in therapy. But if this is your first episode watching me, I started therapy about a year and a half ago after the urging of my doctors for a few years, which I ignored. I'm like, I'm fine, I can deal with it, I have prayer. And after the urging of my parents, I was like, I'm fine, I could deal with it, I have prayer. But then after the death of my grandparents and experiencing so much loss back to back, I could no longer cope with the grief on my own. And if you watch last week's episode, Dr. Tracy calls it having more than one thing in your healing handbasket. So all I had in my healing handbasket was prayer. But now I have therapy, I have journaling, I have meditation. I know more ways to heal myself. But the biggest thing for me, the biggest healer for me, besides God, of course, has been therapy. So today's episode, I kind of want to be a little more vulnerable with you guys and tell you about my journey of how I started going to therapy and the difference that it's made in my life, and encourage you all to go if you think you need it. So as I previously stated, I started therapy about a year and a half ago after the death of my grandparents and some other unimaginable losses that I went through. I could no longer cope. My connection with God was kind of missing because I had a crisis of faith. I wasn't myself. And that's one point that I definitely want to make. If you think you need therapy, one of the things you should look at is your behaviors, your patterns, and your mood. If you're normally a joyful person, a cheerful person, a person who can kind of push through and find the positives and things, but you're like, God, it's hard for me to cope right now. I don't have my joy. I'm not cheerful. I'm really moody. I'm aggravated. I don't want to be around people. And this is not me. That might be one of the times that you need to stop and tell yourself, hey, I may need to go to therapy. And so for me, that's what happened. I was making decisions that I wasn't proud of, trying to cope with the grief. I felt lost. I didn't know where to go or who to turn to. Like I said, my connection with God was kind of missing. So I'm like, I need to find somebody else who doesn't know me, who can sit here and give me an honest opinion, and who can help me through this time in my life. So I started going to therapy. I started learning a lot of tools, which a few of them I'm going to share in this video. But one of the biggest ones have been positive reframing. And sometimes it's so hard because when you have so much negativity going on, all you can see is that negativity. When you're in that dark place, all you see is that dark place. You don't see a way out, and you don't understand how this is going to work for my good. And I was there. But one of the biggest things therapy taught me is the positive reframing. So it's just to say, okay, I might be sick today, but tomorrow can be a better day. Or, okay, this might have happened at this moment, but this does not have to ruin my whole day. So I can put a positive spin on it. And so before I started therapy, I didn't know how to do that. I was just in a dark place and didn't see my way out of it. And then once I actually started going to therapy, learning that tool, it has helped me so much. So positive reframing is one of the greatest things that I've learned through therapy. And like I said, another thing that I wanted to talk to you about is maybe signs that you may need to go or someone in your life may need to go to therapy. So like I said, the first one is when you're acting kind of like outside of the norm of your character and what it would normally be. So that's one time that I would think you need to go to therapy. Another thing is having irrational thoughts. And I know right now with the pandemic, it's like nobody would have ever thought we would be here. But you find yourself starting to think of things that's like beyond the norm, beyond logical. And you're like, I'm having these thoughts. And instead of just having them and being able to suppress them or just be like, hey, girl, that's not real, come back down out of your head, you normally stay there and you ruminate in those thoughts and you allow those thoughts to be birthed and give them life. You allow those irrational thoughts to turn into actual irrational behavior because of your thought process. So that might be another reason why you need to go to therapy. The third reason that I have is that you're overthinking and you're doing it to a detriment. I have been totally transparent and honest with you all that I overthink a whole lot, and sometimes it is to my detriment. So when you find yourself overthinking, and not just overthinking, but the thoughts that you're thinking about, it takes on a whole life of its own, and then it turns into something way bigger, and you have to stop yourself and say, none of this hasn't happened outside of my mind. So hey, maybe I'm overthinking, and maybe I need to talk to someone who can tell me and talk me down off the quote unquote cliff that these thoughts are not real, this has not happened yet, you're just in your mind having one of your moments of overthinking. So if you find yourself overthinking to the point that is detrimental, you may need to go to therapy. Another thing that showed me that I needed to go to therapy was extreme anxiety. A lot of us, we have small anxieties about different things, but it never gets to that place of being extreme. When I say extreme anxiety, that's when you get to the place of having the panic attacks, or that's when you get to the place where you don't want to leave the house, which kind of tailspins into my next point of depression. So they kind of go hand in hand. You find yourself always anxious about something. It doesn't matter what it is. You can never calm yourself. You can never take a step back and breathe and think normally. You always on the edge. So if you find yourself there, that's another reason why you need to go to therapy. The last two can kind of, well, really the last three, extreme anxiety, depression, which is the next point. When you find yourself depressed, for me, I was like, I didn't think I was depressed because I really didn't know enough about it. So when you're depressed, sometimes people don't want to eat, or sometimes they overeat. Sometimes when people are depressed, they don't want to get out of bed. They don't even want to take a shower, things of that nature. So once you find yourself depressed, and most of the time depression leads to my next point and last point, which is suicidal thoughts, or sometimes an actual suicide attempt. If you are there, please, please, please reach out to someone. Even if you can't get to a therapist, reach out to someone trusted, whether it be a spiritual leader or a friend or a family member, someone that you can trust, that you know you're going to be safe with, you can explain those emotions to, and they can get you the necessary help that you need. And it's like right now we see so many people who either having the combination of the three, the extreme anxiety, the depression, and the suicidal thoughts, or at least one or two of the three, that can sometimes lead to either death or an actual suicide attempt. So if you feel that you're in that space, this is the time that you reach out for help. This is the time that you find a therapist. This is the time that you find someone who's trusted, that you can talk to, that won't tell your business, that will lead you in the right direction, that will protect you and get you the necessary help that you need. Never, ever, ever be afraid. Never be ashamed to admit, hey, I need help. I can no longer deal with this on my own. I can no longer fight these demons and these battles on my own. I think I need to go to therapy, but until I can get there, can you please help me? So never be afraid or ashamed to reach out for that help. So as I told you before, for me, I kept putting therapy off, and it was always because I thought I was good enough, or I thought prayer was going to get me through. But to be quite honest, the biggest reason why I kept putting therapy off is because of the stigma in the African American community. It's who you going to tell all your business to. What happens in our house stays in our house. We don't need therapy. Talk to God about it. And so there was such a big stigma with actually taking care of your mental health and seeing a therapist and being mentally and emotionally well and being whole. And for me, I let that detour me for at least 2 years from getting the help that I need and being on my journey to wholeness and to mental and emotional wellness. So I encourage anybody today out there, I'm extremely transparent with you guys that I see a therapist once a week. Since the quarantine has happened, it's been virtual, but I know if I miss a week, I can tell because my mood is off. I'm not correct. Sometimes that overthinking happens. Those irrational thoughts begin to ruminate and form a whole life of their own. So I encourage you, do not allow the color of your skin. Do not allow the fact that you think you're telling somebody all of your business. Do not allow any of those petty things to stop you from getting the help that you need. And I heard Taraji P. Henson on the Breakfast Club when she was talking about her journey with therapy and her mental health foundation. She said, she was like, why do we take care of every other part of our bodies, but we don't take care of our brains? Our brains is another part of our body. It's really the biggest part because it controls everything. And your brain can only take on so many emotions, so much trauma until you need to get it checked. So think about it just as you're going to the doctor for a cold, as you're going to the doctor for a backache, a stomach ache. You're going to see a therapist because your brain aches. You can't take any more emotional or mental abuse or trauma. That it's time to actually talk to someone. So do not allow the stigma of therapy to stop you from going and getting the help that you so desperately need. No one is judging you. No one even has to know. Everything is confidential. Your therapist will have you sign HIPAA papers and all this kind of things. So you never have to worry about somebody else knowing your business. Go and get the help that you need. And so I now want to start sharing some of the things with you that I did learn through therapy that I know has helped me. And I know right now a lot of people may think that therapy is expensive and they can't afford it. And like Dr. Tracy said on the last episode, there are therapists that work at a sliding scale. There's different things that you can do. You might not be able to afford to go every week, but maybe every other week or once a month. So you take advantage of those things. But for those who still may say, I can't even afford it once a month, well, I'm here to share with you the things that I've learned. So hopefully they may help you. So I alluded to one of them earlier, which was the positive reframing. And as I explained earlier, it's just taking whatever negative thing or whatever bad thing happened or whatever bad or negative circumstance that you're in and putting a positive twist on it. So always looking for that positive within the negative, so you don't allow your mind, your emotions to stay in that negative space. The second thing that I started to do once I started to go to therapy was journaling. Journaling has helped my life so much because I write about everything. Before I allow the thoughts to overwhelm me, before I allow the anxiety or depression to sink in, I journal. I journal almost every night. And when it comes to journaling, it doesn't have to be perfect because it's for your eyes only. And use journaling to go back and look how far you've came over however long it's been. For me, it's been a year and a half. And those journal entries that I started writing at the beginning is totally different from now. I'm like, okay, I've done a lot of growth. So not only use it to get those feelings out, to get the thoughts of the day out, to get the feelings of the day out, but use it as a reflection tool to go back and say, hey, I've grown here. And my therapist told me something that's called with journaling, getting the day off of you or writing the day off of you. So whatever happened in that day, before you get in a space to go to bed, put yourself in that positive space by writing the day off of you. Journal whatever happened that day, whatever you feeling, whatever you want to talk about, journal it, write it out, and it gets the day off of you, and it relaxes your mind and body so that you can sleep that night. So journaling has really helped me, as well as when I journal, I started doing goals and I started doing yearly plans. And if you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, you'll see that I made a post on Wednesday that I made a very, very, very detailed plan for 2020. In November, I sat down, I was like, I'm going into 2020 with a plan and a prayer. And I wrote it very detailed, from business to what I wanted to accomplish with Journeying with Janay, which it wasn't even entitled that at the time. It was something totally different. In my social life, with my health, everything. I wrote down a detailed plan. I'm a firm believer in manifestation and writing the vision. I sit down and I wrote the vision. And as I said, journaling could be a reflection tool. I went back 2 nights ago and started to go back over that plan, and I started checking things off. I'm like, okay, I did this, I did this, I did this. And I'm like, wait, we're 7 months into the year and I've accomplished half of my goals. And that's because I took the time to write it down. I can always go back in that journal and I can look at it and I can say, okay, this is what I still have to accomplish. So it's a twofold purpose. It's a therapeutic tool, journaling, as well as a tool to see your goals, have them on paper, and be able to check them off. So journaling has helped me a whole lot. The other thing that has helped me, therapeutic tool that has helped me, is something called 7-Eleven breathing. It's really easy to remember because if you think of a 7-Eleven gas station. So it's called 7-Eleven breathing. For 7 seconds, you inhale, and while you're inhaling, you taking in everything positive, whether it be your children, your family, something good that happened today, an accomplishment, a weight loss goal, whatever positive happened in that time frame. For 7 seconds, you breathe in and you take in those positive vibes. And the 11 part of it comes in. For 11 seconds, you exhale. And while you're exhaling those 11 seconds, you're letting out all of those negative things. Whoever hurt you, whatever hurt you, what trauma you faced today, what obstacles you faced today. In those 11 seconds, you breathe out that negativity. And so with the 7-Eleven breathing, it gives you a chance to kind of center yourself, because you just get there, you close your eyes, you breathe in for 7 seconds, thinking of positive, 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 and out for 11 seconds, letting go all of the negative energy and thoughts from your body. That has helped me in so many spaces and times, especially when I have times that I'm extremely anxious. I immediately go to my 7-Eleven breathing, because I know it's going to center me, it's going to calm me, it's going to slow my heart rate. I'm focusing on my breathing, I'm focusing on taking in positive and letting out negative, and it definitely works. So always remember 7-Eleven breathing. And the last tool that I want to share with you is something that I kind of learned in therapy, but I kind of formed on my own, which is the mirror doesn't lie. When I say that, I have several mirrors around my room and I keep different things, or even if you have to use the front camera on your phone. I started doing this as a confidence booster, but now I even do it to check myself sometimes. I look in the mirror and I don't look at the physical attributes, but I look inwardly. And when I say the mirror doesn't lie, it is not going to lie to you if you're honest with it. So get yourself a mirror. If you're struggling with confidence, I did an encouragement for the journey, I think last week on this. If you're struggling with confidence, get yourself a mirror. Every morning and every night, look in that mirror and find something that you love about yourself. I don't care. For me, I have a gap right here that I hate. But every morning at night I look in the mirror and I'm like, I'm going to learn to love this until I can do something about it. So I encourage you, for the confidence booster, to look in the mirror and find something that you love about yourself, or a flaw that you may not like but you need to learn how to love. And like I said, the mirror has a twofold purpose of the mirror not lying. The second thing, the second side of it, should I say, is to check yourself, because sometimes you try to hide or put on a facade in front of other people, but when you're looking in the mirror, you cannot lie to yourself. So if you know you did something wrong today, if you know there's something that you're working on and you didn't work as hard as you should today, look in the mirror, and sometimes you might have to scold yourself a little bit and be like, girl, you can do better than this. For me, mine that I'm just being transparent and honestly working on right now is cursing. So I look in the mirror and be like, okay, you need to do better in that area of your life. So I encourage you all today, use that tool. Use it as a twofold purpose. One, to build confidence, but also sometimes to check yourself and remind yourself that I need to work on this. And so, like I said, just a quick overview. Those tools that I told you, therapeutic tools, positive reframing. Immediately turn that negative into a positive. Never allow yourself to stay in a negative space too long. The second one, journaling. It helps. Write the day off of you. Get the day off of you. And be able to look at it as a tool, as a reflective tool. You can always go back and see how you've grown. The third one, which to me is the most important, is 7-11 breathing. 7 seconds, an inhale. Think about positive things, positive thoughts, things that make you happy. 11 seconds, we're exhaling everything negative. And the last one is using a mirror, because the mirror does not lie. Building your confidence and checking yourself and making sure you're held accountable. So I really hope that if you cannot get to therapy or cannot afford it, that you use these 4 quick techniques that I told you is really easy, and they definitely work. Because especially journaling, if you can't talk to somebody, at least everything is not staying in your head. It's being written down on paper. And in something that I wrote, I said that the sacredness of the white paper, I can't lie to it, because white is purity. You know, the meaning of white is pure. So you can't lie to it. Be honest in your journal. Things that nobody that's walking the face of this earth knows, my journal knows. And I can work on those things. I know what I want to work on. I can plan in there. I can write my goals down. Use journaling. So I hope that these tools and tips helped you. But most of all, I wanted to do this video because of the time that we're living in. It's so heavy. And we're all so emotionally and mentally drained. Some of us are spiritually drained. We can't actually be in church to get the spiritual recharge. We can't be around our friends and family to get the love and the recharge that we need. And it's a difficult time, but I pray that if you need the help, reach out to someone. If you need to go to therapy, reach out to a therapist. I know some really good therapists. If you feel you need a therapist, contact me. I can let you know some therapists to go to and talk to, but please talk to someone. Do not keep everything bottled inside. And do not allow the negative thoughts, the irrational thoughts, the overthinking, the anxiety, or the depression to get so bad that it ultimately leads to suicidal thoughts or a suicide attempt. You are enough. You are worthy. You are worth living. You are worth having an amazing life. You just will have to do the work to get there. And remember that this too shall pass. We will not always be in a pandemic, even though it seems like it's never ending. We will not always be at a place of racial and civil unrest and injustice. Things will get better. But while they are hard, reach out for the help that you need. And another thing, once they do start getting better, don't stop using the tools and techniques that helped you get better. Don't stop your therapy. Keep going. Don't stop positive reframing. Don't stop journaling. Don't stop 7-11 breathing. Don't stop the mirror doesn't lie technique. Keep using those things and those tools, because once you get to a place that you feel like, okay, I got it, and I stop doing those things, that's when you get knocked right back off your feet again, because you're not doing the things that you know works to heal you. And sometimes, I must be honest, I don't journal every night, because sometimes I don't even feel like dealing with the thoughts, feelings, or emotions, and I'll let them pile on and go a few nights, and then my mood is off, or I'm irritable, or whatever it is. So I know, hey girl, you need to journal, you need to do your 7-11 breathing, whatever it is that works. So do whatever works for you. Never feel judged. Take the stigma away. Nobody's judging you. Take care of you. Take care of your mental and emotional health. Like I said, you are loved, you are enough, you are worthy of living, and you are worthy of living a great life. So all of those points that I made before, if you find yourself there, that is your moment that you may need to say, hey, I think I need therapy. And don't just say it. Actively use the steps, work the steps that I gave you, and try to get in touch with the therapist. I know a lot of them are busy right now because of the time that we're in and the climate that we're in, but you can always find someone to help or to talk to. And if you cannot talk to a therapist or get to a therapist, find somebody that you trust, whether it be a spiritual leader, whether it be a friend, a family member, somebody that you can trust, that you can talk to, that you can be vulnerable with, and they can help you get the help that you need. Do not suffer in silence. Do not suffer alone. You have people here to help you. So this has been episode 7 of Journeying with Janay, which is entitled again, Hey, I Think I Need Therapy. If you do think you need to go and get the help you need. If you need to reach out to me for anything and you follow me on my social media accounts, just DM me. I will be here to listen, to help, to give you whatever you need. So I hope this episode really helps someone, that you can take these techniques and tools, use them until you can get to a therapist. So I want to thank you all for coming along with me on my journey as we turn pain into purpose. Thank you all for your support. Continue to watch my videos. So make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. And make sure you follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Everything will be in the caption. And also a huge thank you to everyone who has supported me with my t-shirts. Journeying with Janay officially has merch. These are the t-shirts. It says, we turn pain into purpose, # Journeying with Janay. I have shirts on hand. If you would like to purchase a shirt, they are $20. And if you need them shipped, add an additional $3 for shipping. So if you would like to purchase a shirt, please get with me. But thank you again for all the love and all the support that you guys show me. But most of all, thank you for coming along with me on my journey as we turn pain into purpose. Bye.